Okay, this meeting is being recorded. The recording does not constitute the official record of this meeting. All documents from this meeting are available on the school board page of the district website. And for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Any revisions? Public comment? Don't see anyone here, so move on from that. I'll take an approval for the minutes from our last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the January meeting.
I second the motion.
Call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimously. Recognitions and commendations today.
Just the summer crew, tech's been working hard. Custodians have been working hard.
Thanks.
Our contractors are working hard. Campus looks really good.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, thank you to all of them for their hard work. So moving on, we'll go to our superintendent report.
So I sent that out to everybody, just kind of, I'll be brief. And probably Matt will talk a little bit about this during the budget committee too, a portion of my report. Yeah, I mean, comparison to July 2024, we're down 14. It's kind of what we're gonna want to keep our eye on.
Yeah.
And that was as of today. Federal funding. At this point, with the signing of the bill, US Department of Education shared what I have put in my report with us. I don't know, there's $6.7 billion being withheld from public schools in the United States at this particular point. Means for us approximately 44,000 across the title programs. You'll see down in the grant section, we also have a rural education achievement grant. That's 39,000. That doesn't seem to be part of what's being held back right now. It's just titles. Well, you can see Title 1C, 2, 3, all Title A programs, Title and Title 4. We'll just kind of see where that goes. The one thing that could come out of it is if it doesn't get allocated to the schools or allocated to the states and then to the schools, it'll significantly reduce the reporting requirement.
Yeah. I mean, is that all gonna then, wasn't that the problem or promise it was kind of come down to the states and the states were gonna take care of things in there?
That's what the conversation had been, but it doesn't seem like that's
Right.
happening just yet. So those allocations usually would have come, we would have known now
Right.
what we were getting on
Because they
July
were
1st.
July 1st.
Yeah, and OPI already said we're not gonna be able to tell you anything prior, anything now. It's gonna be some time.
So it's just gonna take time to catch up, basically.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
The good thing is we're not super duper dependent on it,
Right.
on those federal.
Is that REAP grant, is that, or program, is that already a state or is that
That's federal too.
federal? This, okay.
And then lastly, I just thought I would update on kind of where we are with our local grants. Spanish Peaks is in for 120 this year, PTO is in for 100, the REAP, which I talked about, BizRes in for 50, and then we have an outstanding grant with YCCF for 150K. I feel good I'm gonna be able to get that to where it needs to be to get that money. And then the BizRad grant, we talked about at the last, or allocation, we talked about at the last meeting. We're gonna do $700,000. So they already do 50 for our pre-K program, if you remember, and that was already in the 3-year cycle.
Yeah.
So all we have to do, we don't have to go through and do the full application, we just need to revise it. So on August 18th, we talked about that, Matt, that we need to be prepared to go to that meeting. I'll get that turned into them in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That the ask will become 750.
Do we need to get together with them before that?
I mean, I'll
Or
send it
should
to them
we-
and see if they would like to meet with us before that.
Make sure we're on the same
Yeah.
page.
And I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay.
And Dustin, the SP, PTO, REAP and BizRad 50 grand, that's all guaranteed.
Yeah,
We have that money in the house yet or not yet?
I don't think we have the checks yet, but yeah, we've got
Goes towards-
the Spanish Peaks, we've got the, award and we accepted the award.
Okay.
They do it twice, so we'll get part of it in the fall and part of it in the spring. PTO, where are we at with that, Libby or Corky?
We have received the Spanish Peaks money. We received the 50,000 for athletics for the first semester and the $20,000 which is earmarked for expedition. But we have not received the PTO funding for fiscal year 26.
So the commitments, I mean, she's made the commitment, well,
Yeah, by fiscal year, or whatever,
Yeah. and the 50 is,
And that 50K in the biz rad, that's gonna roll into the 700.
it's gonna be in addition to.
because that one's already in that 3 year.
Yeah, so it's already in the 3-year cycle, so so we can, actually, I could correct what I said last time because it did turn out differently. That it just becomes an amendment to the current 3-year cycle, so similar amount like you would do with the fire department, if you're already in one, you just make an amendment. So really, we would only be looking at 2 years of funding if this were.
Yeah.
To
go.
approve,
And then we'd have to rewrite that last year or however
we'd have to do.
many past that.
Yeah, again, it's back to what we talked about with reconciliation payment versus, a different funding source. It just shortens that risk timeline.
Yeah. And so really, we need to wait to hear from those guys what we're doing moving forward with that, when we're doing a reconciliation for this year. But that's not, I mean, it's outstanding that we just really don't know yet from them what their decision is gonna be.
No.
Right, okay. All right, so everybody talk to BizRad. Say good things.
I've heard that everybody has upped their ask,
Oh, sure, I think they do every year,
but
yeah.
even those that were told that they were not going to do that, if they got the money that they were getting from, they had it
Yeah. Okay.
anyway.
Anything else, Dustin?
No,
Great, thank you very much. Hi, Marlo.
Jess, I thought it was 4.
Oh, we can't hear
I
you.
thought it was early. And I didn't look at my.
How about now?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay, good. Great. So, good to see everybody. I wish I was there.
You say you look like you're in Minnesota.
I am in Minnesota, beautiful Minnesota. Coming home soon though. Academics, we're working with Toddle to really ensure that our unit plans are transferring over from Manage back and making sure that setup is really smooth. So I'm looking forward to that being a good execution for the students and teachers as we get back. And then if you saw in the handbook, we're starting an honors distinction passion project for the middle school starting this year for students to kind of explore subjects and areas that they want to dive deeper into. And really for students in our study skills class, we have this built-in time if they're not getting support in math and reading and they have a passion, we're going to really honor and facilitate that. And it's going to be really exciting to launch with the middle school. And then we're just doing all the other logistics with ordering supplies, getting calendars ready, and everything we need to do to launch the school year and get those welcome back letters out at the beginning of August. And then for professional development, our core middle school teachers are completing PACS training in July and August of this month. And that I talked about it 3 or 4 months ago. It's a science-based solution that focuses on creating a really positive pro-social behavior at school. And it's really just about classroom management techniques. It has nothing to do with curriculum, but it really has a lot of evidence that increases academic performance, behavioral outcomes, and even lifetime outcomes as students learn to manage their emotions and shift between activities and contexts and things like that. And then we're just continuing also to finalize August PIR with the teachers. And then student council's been busy already prepping for homecoming this year, which is October 6th to 11th. The theme is beach and tropical, and you'll hear more from them shortly about it.
Well, that means it's gonna snow then early this year.
Yeah, right.
By October for sure.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, that's crazy. They're talking about PIR already and it's like,
I know.
you just got asked.
I know.
So, well, that's exciting about the middle school program too. I thought that was very interesting. So
Great.
hopefully
Thank
there's a
you.
lot of kids that are gonna take advantage of that. So that'd be nice.
Is that,
Yeah,
did I
absolutely.
read that was for kids who were on the honor roll or for any kid?
We were trying to target it with you kind of maintain your grades to opt in because I don't want it to cannibalize core subjects, right? If they're choosing not to do math, for example, that was kind of where the process was there.
Great. Well, enjoy your last few days there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, move on to the elementary principal report, please.
Short
Brittany.
and sweet. It's nice and quiet. I was gonna say our building does look really great. They've made it all the way through all the hallways and classrooms and did such a great job in cleaning. So the classrooms are ready for the teachers to return and get them all set up. And Marlo and I keep working on August PIR and trying to align the things that we need to align and just get those things finalized. And then I have 2 teachers who are starting their letters training this summer, the literacy essentials for teachers and reading and spelling, which is really exciting. So yeah, that's it.
I know with 25th, so we don't really too soon. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Activities report, please, Mr. Hannes.
You got it. So obviously we got the approval of the handbooks on the discussion and action agenda today. We can talk about those when they come on. A couple of updates. We had the Class B caucus in Glasgow the second week of June. And a couple of things that I'm pretty excited about that was passed. First of all, volleyball is adjusted for up to 2 players, 2 JV players to start on varsity upon a mutual agreement of both schools. I think that's going to be big for us. Our volleyball roster's been small the last couple of years, so
Does that negate the times they can play, like the
yeah, so it used to be you needed 6 players to start the varsity game, and then the rest can play JV.
yeah,
This year, starting this year, will be you can play your JV game, and 2 players who played that JV game, if you're have a lower number,
yeah.
can start that varsity game if you need. And the second one, in a similar vein, myself and Whitehall High School co-wrote a proposal for the 6-quarter rule to that was in place for Class C when we were Class C for basketball. Players can play 6 quarters. In Class B, it's always been 5. We just got unanimously approved for 6 quarters in Class B as well.
Oh, good. That's nice. Well, that'll help us small.
That will be very helpful to have. We've just been having these half JV games or 3-quarter JV games. It's hard on the kids, it's hard on the coaches, and it's not easy to call these schools and say we're cutting down on your time. So I think this will help a lot. It doesn't sound like much, but it makes a big impact.
Well, it'll just help regulate those times too and make things a little bit more smooth, like you said, for everybody, which I
Definitely.
think is a key.
Yeah. And lastly, we will be the host of the Class B caucus next summer. So everybody's coming here to Big Sky. We're gonna do it at the Wilson Hotel.
Sweet.
There will be social, I think, when everyone gets here. The board and administration is certainly invited to come and meet everybody and
We come and eavesdrop.
see how the sausage is made.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm excited.
That
I
was
don't think
great.
anybody wanted to see how the sausage.
Budget problems
Yeah.
out the door.
That's
right. Big Sky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sending the AD to the Wilson.
No problem solved.
For Class B. How close are we to Class B?
We are,
To drop it back down.
Yes,
Yeah.
so the number is I use 0 to 100 for Class C.
okay,
Anything over 100 is Class B.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's easy to.
And it's every 2 years, so.
Every 2 years.
But they also look at like what you have coming up. So
Yeah, they look
we
at
have
your-
45 in 7th grade or something about that, so.
They're checking
Yeah, they
it
look
out.
at your middle school enrollment. The last cycle was when we went up and there was Plentywood was one that I can think of that was over, but the following year and the following few years with their middle school enrollment, we're gonna be down, so they appealed and stay in Class C.
And football is
130,
130 to go to 11 now.
yes.
Hmm, okay.
So we got some time there.
We should be safe in A9 for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
And that's it.
Great. Any questions?
Do we have any idea of how many people will be on those teams in the fall?
Not yet, though. As soon as these handbooks get approved, I'll upload them to Final Forms, our online registration platform, and registration will open for those fall sports. So I'll be able to tell you about the next board meeting, but I'm anticipating the 20 to 25 for both soccer teams. I'm hoping we get at least 12 or 13 for volleyball, and coach, what do you,
We're anticipating 19.
19? Okay. For football. Yep. Middle school volleyball will probably be in that 16 to 20 number
Yeah, that's 7th grade.
total.
Yeah, number is good.
Middle school football's healthy. I think they'll probably be right around 19, 20 as well.
Perfect. Great. Anything else, John?
John, have any of the coaches reached out? And I only ask because I've been seeing some player-led practices out on the field. Have any of the coaches reached out to you about eighth graders playing up in any fall sport other than football?
Girls soccer has reached out to me about it, but she wasn't sure if it was going to be necessary.
That's enough.
Yeah.
They're kind of on the border.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
And we're kind of going on that policy where the number of roster spots you decide, and you can have that practice and communicate out to everybody.
Yeah, if you remember, we kind of put that back into a quick admin meeting, and at the coaches' request, they could just set the roster size of what they would like and have tryouts for those spots.
Mm-hmm.
How about, one of the middle school coaches for football had talked about bringing up fifth graders to play and then for practice and then playing like a fifth quarter with them?
Yeah, so I was going to, we discussed this as well, and this could be something if it needs to be board approved, we can do it in August and just see if we want to open that door up for fifth graders. It would be mostly for practice purposes. They could come to practice, they could get a sense of what the program was about, and we would likely only play them for, if you're not familiar, after the game is over, final score is done, the 4 quarters are done, coaches will bring their younger kids out and play a fifth quarter, meaning the coaches are out on the field with them, and it's just a very guided, yes. And so that would be probably the extent to where we would want our fifth graders to participate. Is just that fifth quarter time.
Seems pretty good.
But it could be, they get to practice, they get to see the high schoolers, they get to be a part of that program, which we do with all of our other.
Yeah, just having that feel of the game and everything.
Yeah.
The excitement to
Yeah, start to learn a little bit and maybe bolster that program up.
Thank you.
Great. All right, thanks, John.
You bet.
We will move on to our committee report. Budget committee. Anyone? Hi, Courtney.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So I think you skipped the business manager's report.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I did. I just was excited about the budget. Sorry.
Libby wants to chime in, she can, but ultimately we finished up
Can you hear me okay?
fiscal year 25.
Yep.
We submitted our initial documents and data package to the county, and we're kind of in a holding pattern for the next week to 10 days while the county reviews our data and while the Department of Revenue and OPI open up their database. I talked to both of those folks yesterday, and they're anticipating no later than June 20th. So that Monday, June 21st, we'll start doing our trustees' financial statements, reconciling fiscal year 25, and then doing our forecasting for fiscal year 26. And that kind of takes us right into committee reports.
Perfect. Great.
I guess myself, Dustin, Matt met about 10 days ago and went through what we anticipate for fiscal year 26. We kind of started with a rundown on 25 and where we ended up. I guess a year ago, August, we anticipated $1 million deficit, and we ended up just shy of $1 million. So, which was good. We actually received some additional grant money. So our House Bill 408 funding was not used to the extent that we had anticipated. So fiscal year 25 ended up where we thought it would, but from a cash flow standpoint, actually better. And then 26, we're projecting about a $1.3 million deficit. And I think as Dustin alluded to, we're receiving quite a bit of grant money and private money. The House Bill 408 money, the House Bill 846 money should put us in a great position from a cash flow standpoint next year. The $300,000 increase is a direct result due to wages. We gave great raises and increased wages across the district, classified and certified. We held our benefit dollars the same, and we also gave an additional benefit to certified staff by increasing their coverage rate to $50 a period. So all in all, our increase in deficit goes straight to the pockets of the staff.
And then this 44K we were talking about, sorry, what?
I just said, any other comments?
That 44K we were talking about earlier. Federal funding or whatever, that wasn't factored into what we were talking about earlier last time,
It
correct?
was
It wasn't there. Okay, I couldn't remember.
in revenue.
Okay,
And we've targeted to, for fiscal year 26, 10% of that House Bill 408, which is, I mean, that was a long time ago when we talked about targeting that 10% of House Bill 408. We've targeted that. We should be able to meet it. And then we also talked kind of about, hopefully one objective will be to have, $2 to $2.5 million reserves by the summer of 2027. Depending on how things unfold.
yeah, I was gonna say, as long as we stay on target with. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions for budget? Anybody have anything, questions for the budget committee? Matt, you got anything you wanna add?
No.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Corey.
Of course.
We move on to discussion and action. I will step first motion, please.
I would like to move that we approve the policy 3630
On the second reading.
on the second reading.
I second the motion.
So no changes from first reading, and then you'll see further on down, and also connected to that as an attachment was the kind of what's gonna be in the handbook, kind of the operational guide.
Did everybody get a chance to look at that?
Yeah.
When I reread it later, I saw that it sounded like there was something that had changed.
We took out pagers.
No,
I don't know.
not that.
And
It was how it was phrased. It said including athletics or something, including field trips, when we meant that the policy applied to including field trips. But the way it read, it said you would be able to have them on field trips.
Well, I think
So
the
that
distinction
was-
there was athletic events and.
No,
school
it was just
sponsored
how it
field
was written.
Okay.
What, it was the intent of this board, I believe, was to say field trips are school and athletic events, athletics, they are being dismissed.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily come back to school. So,
Right.
I mean, they do during the
They-
school
yeah.
hours, but the way it was written, it actually said you can get your cell phone when you leave the school grounds, including field trips. And so I tried to fix that, and I don't know if everybody saw it.
So it's just anything that occurs within the school day.
Wherever,
Including-
regardless of where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's all. I just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify that happened afterwards. It was because of the
gotcha.
way that the sentence was structured, that it made it.
No, it made sense. I thought,
Unclear.
yeah.
No, but if you read it, it actually said the opposite of what I think we wanted. It was what I just.
Somebody would have
Okay.
found that.
I
Oh.
would, yes, so.
Yep.
Well, is there any other conversation? Because the policy is what we're approving,
Right.
right? Are we approving the handbooks right now?
We will.
Right now.
Okay, so let's just,
Just do this for the policy, yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
Has anybody got any feedback
that's what I was trying to
Outside.
ask.
zero.
from the last meeting since June till now? I see Jim Clancy's on.
Kids are a little annoyed.
Oh.
They're dealing.
well,
and-
I told you guys
This is a
what,
Newspaper.
I told you guys
Yeah.
what happened and she miswrote. And I saw you fix that.
Yeah.
Did everybody understand that she was attending virtually? And thus couldn't read what we were looking at and didn't call to check anything. So the first thing that went out said there were a handful of teachers that had signed a petition. Instead of there were a handful that didn't sign the petition.
Right.
And so I went through a lot of just FYI, and I made it clear to her that we would happily share everything written and she could
Mhm.
call and fact check.
Yeah, that's good.
Instead of putting it out, because I was worried about her initial reporting, which wasn't great, but that's it. And I don't think there was any response anywhere that I've seen,
Good.
so.
And what are we getting? Lockers for the phones?
Yeah,
Has that been discussed
we've got
yet?
some things identified.
Okay.
We discussed it with the lady from that foundation.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know,
And she said they would pay for them.
so Washington DC, all of the District of Columbia just went bell to bell. And if there's a place where there's gonna be emergency, that's where we do
Yeah.
it. But one of the things that I read about Boulder schools also in Colorado, and they did, you know how there was a lot of commentary about what are they supposed to do with their time? How are they supposed to like exist? And they did things that I thought, I'm just gonna throw it out because I wanted to share it. They got like, different kinds of like games, like not pool, but whatever,
Yeah.
shuffleboard and stuff like that. For kids to have something to do.
Yeah.
Which seems like if we wanted to at some point make an additional request to this foundation of replacement activities.
I think we have a shuffleboard.
We have-
Yeah.
Good thing. We're already there.
That's what we do is build games.
Yeah.
They just said that, I know that we have a jillion board games, because I've
We've
moved.
got a great shuffleboard table. around
Okay,
too, so-
fantastic, okay.
So I bet that they'll be able to find things that we can keep with
I mean, I think though, pointing it out and saying like,
Yeah.
you know, do we have a pool table, do we have ping pong, whatever we have in a place where they could interact, because that has been the point of this policy, to
Get them.
to have it, to engage with each other
Interaction.
during their free time.
Yeah.
Hey, Dustin, what's the status on, I think one of the kids, their parents have brought up to me about outside town during the day. So they could get out and actually not be stuck inside.
Like-
Yeah, so I'll let Marlo talk more to that. She's trying to work some lunchtime things so the kids can get some more time outside, but also to structure those flex times a little bit more and give more opportunities for kids if they want to go, to the weight room or somewhere else. So we're still planning.
Okay.
I would say that's the short answer,
Okay.
And then the other.
but we've heard that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was the. Positive, that was the most constructive comment I've gotten from a bunch of the kids, especially in the high school age bracket.
Mhm.
The other question I had is, I've been listening to kids talk about, what do we do? And it's like, just leave in your friggin' car, and then that's not a problem, but the way this reads, once you drive on campus, it's supposed to be in a box or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want them to go out to the parking lot in their car and
Yeah.
get on their phone or.
No, I got you,
Yeah.
are they allowed to go out to the car in any case?
I mean,
Go out and get stuff.
how do they-
They've left
yeah,
stuff
they're
in the
smart.
car. There's always kids that are like, oh, I left it in
Yeah.
my car, I gotta go get it, like, they could use that as a tool to go through.
to get to the
So-
spirit of the thing is if I'm on my phone right now, pretty soon everybody's reaching for their phone. Are they going to do stuff like this? Yeah, they're gonna do stuff like that. They're gonna get up, they're gonna go out to their car and check a message. And I don't know,
I'm just asking in terms of enforcement, I mean, I don't expect the kids, the teachers are gonna chase kids out of their car.
No.
You leave it in your car, but
you leave it in your car,
that's,
but if
that's the way
everybody.
it reads.
Is it, because
It says, according to board policy, the students are prohibited. Having any of those devices on school property during the school day defined as the time as. So the school property includes parking lot.
That's true.
and all
that should be taken out.
Mhm.
So. if
In the
we can
school
adjust that, I think
building?
it'll give the kids some ownership of managing their own device and say, I will leave it in the car so that I don't have to deal with a teacher in the building. Is it not the idea?
Yeah,
Not have to go collect it.
You don't have to collect it or turn it in,
Yeah.
but have it.
And that's what I told my kids. I was like, just leave it in your freaking car and that's not a big deal.
Well, I mean, if the entire class constantly has to go out to their car.
Definitely no.
well, then you would know,
I
so.
think that's a different issue, but,
So then I'll propose for your consideration that if we're reading it defined as the time from of the first bell to the time of the last bell.
I think if you just
Or
change
during
on
the
school
school
property to in-school buildings
Yeah,
or something
okay.
to that effect.
Well, in school buildings means you can use it on the playground.
However you want to, as long as there's a car about it, I think, for the car, that just makes it easier, because
Yeah.
there's gonna be kids that are smarter than me that come up with that.
Oh, yeah, I'm just already thinking about it.
That issue.
Yeah.
I just think that we're not gonna go out there, I think we leave it. And no one's gonna go out there and check that they're not using, that they're on their phone in their car. Like if that's their little solve,
Well, if they're free time and then everyone's going to their car, I don't.
but they have to ask to go to their car, right? And they just go to
We
their.
don't need to have a panic and need to monitor that.
Exactly. Well, we can, yeah, I mean, we can deal with the stuff as it comes up and we'll figure out kind of what's going on and we won't know what to address really until those problems start to surface.
Yeah, because I feel like we're gonna keep saying, so if they're doing this, does that count? I just think. We don't want them walking down the hall and standing in line and sitting in the cafeteria on their phone.
No, if they, when they come in the building, they'll drop it, and they're not gonna have it.
And then
Yeah.
the last question I had, Dustin, was, if I'm reading this right, the highlighted, is that adjusted language or changed language or added language?
Are you talking about the?
That was, I think, more highlighted about the field trippy type stuff.
Yes,
I guess the question is, I know we have to do so many readings. If we adjust language, does that then reset the readings?
No, so the only thing we needed the multiple readings on that is 52, no, whatever,
36.
3630.
Right.
So this is the second one, then how we want to operationalize it in here, we can change when at our will.
We don't have to bring that back.
The handbook.
they have,
So for instance, if we changed, from school property, school buildings or whatever, change may come, we wouldn't have to then reset the readings?
No,
no,
not back to zero.
Okay,
But I want to make sure that
now I've
the,
lost what the link.
and I'm just looking at the one in the board packet. It came out a couple of days ago, I know it was.
because,
That was the handbook.
yeah, so 3630 is student possession and use of wearable and handheld devices. It defines all of those. That emit signals, blah, blah, blah.
I'm just looking at this.
It's prohibited
It's
during
like
the
the
school
fourth
day.
page on the full
It's
packet.
prohibited during
Yeah.
the school day. It doesn't say where. Right?
And then that, it goes on into the handbook, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
This standalone one does say specifically where.
Yep, that's a highlight, yep, that first paragraph.
Okay.
Is that that's not the policy, that's the
It's the
handbook,
handbook.
right? So that Marlo made. And. it-
Okay, we'll talk about that when we get to the
Yeah,
handbook.
let's do
Okay,
it.
let's get through this policy.
Yes,
So, any other questions about policy?
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Pass unanimously.
okay.
Move on, please. Take a motion.
I move to approve the master schedule for the 2025-26 as presented.
Any second?
I second the motion.
Thank you.
So this represents teacher assignments and the timetable for middle school, high school.
It's very impressive.
Yeah. It's hard to look at.
I know.
Yeah. Great. Any questions on schedules? Anyone? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Pass unanimously. Take another motion for the handbook.
I make a motion to approve the handbook.
You have to read what it
LPHS. Move to approve the LPHS OMS handbook as presented.
I
Second.
second the motion. I just had, I just wondered about a couple of things. So in the handbook, it talks about everyone going to box in if there's an emergency. I just know box is different now. Does that matter? It's just in a distance away from school.
Yes, but semantically, we should fix that.
Okay. And then, sorry, I was trying to exist without my glasses. And then it talked about lettering in sports and,
I think that's the next.
that's
the next handbook.
okay, sorry, they're different handbooks. Okay, perfect. And then that's all I had about that.
That's true.
So do we need to change Bucks period, like get it out of there?
I'll
Or
consult
just
with,
like,
I'll consult with the master safety plan
Yeah.
in Doherty and see where that's outlined in that safety plan.
okay,
But that's always been our evacuation
Yeah.
spot.
yeah, okay. Any other questions?
The
Oh.
next one is where the.
Oh, let's call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Move on to number 4.
Move to approve the DP program handbook as presented.
And that is,
Yes.
I second the motion.
Any questions? Pretty much stayed the same.
It's the same.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody have any questions about that? No, okay. Call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Pass unanimously.
I move to approve the BSSD activities handbook as presented.
Okay, I think that, so
Second.
I second the motion, but I just do have the lettering requirements. And so I know that with Greta lettered in volleyball, however, she got injured the second game, but she continued as sort of a student manager. Doesn't say anything about that in the handbook, but that's just
Are you
habits.
sure?
There was.
Yeah,
something
there's
about
some-
being-
About injured, I thought it said student managers.
Well, student managers, meaning that she
Okay.
chose to stay with the
Yeah.
program,
So
so.
that's, okay. Yeah, that's just, was just making sure.
And but Daniel, I will double check that and make sure that.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
It just didn't say that specifically in it.
We did that a couple years ago, where
Yeah.
for the student
And I really
managers.
appreciate
written
that.
letter. Yeah, absolutely.
She did go to every game.
I just
Yeah,
want
she was there.
discretion for coaches and the AD in cases like that.
Yes, that's kind of what brought this change on, was the postseason roster. Which, you know, there really wasn't, in both cases this year for volleyball and basketball, you can only take 12 kids on your roster for the
Yeah.
postseason. And in both cases for those kids, they had played enough to fulfill those lettering requirements, but we discussed like in the contingency of like an injury or somebody going out of town for ODP, anything like that, where you say,
Bringing a new.
bring in a new kid that we're taking to the district
Yeah.
tournament, that they deserve a varsity letter.
And then the homeschool discovery students. Do we get many of those?
We get some.
A few, yeah.
And then they have to comply with all of our handbook regulations.
Right.
Okay.
Did we check their grades?
Yeah, okay, it's all the same.
Across the board, yeah.
Was this where the sports physical?
Yeah, there's gonna be
Yeah.
two things that actually we should talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And then, okay, the drug testing and the sports physical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those two
Perfect.
things, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I'll start with the drug testing. If you remember some years ago, we put the drug testing policy in place for all student athletes. And it worked somewhat efficiently and only somewhat efficiently for 3 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Never, so as what we did was the policy used to read, we drug tested every student athlete before the season started.
Yeah.
Before their season started, and then during the school year or during their season, if we suspected they were doing something, then we would test them again. And then also we had just randomly selected students during the season. We never caught anybody. And it's really, really challenging to enforce something like that.
Did we ever have any suspicions necessarily either?
One.
Okay.
No, one was a faulty test. I take that back.
Yeah.
We had a bad test once, student went back.
Okay.
What, when you say test, they go to the medical center and.
And you go to the
get tested.
medical center,
Yeah.
so
Can't do it at home.
So
Yeah.
Give them a copy.
Yeah, yeah,
the front paperwork is really difficult.
yeah.
And the other thing too is not only is the paperwork difficult, but you must do it after academic hours, which means you're taking kids out of practice. And the district has to provide transportation, which means somebody has to go up, and it's about an hour every day. So we did
Or the
5
test
a
if we're suspicious or just the.
No, that was the random.
Everything.
That was the
Random,
random.
yeah.
So now I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the proposal is to keep it in the handbook, but only under suspicion of violation of the substance.
And we'll still have it at the beginning of the season.
No,
No,
no.
just
beginning.
under suspicion.
Because-
Discussion.
Right, we had the policy, and it was, at the time, it was, I would say now, looking back on it, probably we should have examined it a little bit more, because there was no flexibility. So the kid couldn't even start practices.
Yeah.
Until they had it, and again, right, the paperwork is scheduling with the hospital and taking the whole volleyball team up there, or soccer team on a bus.
Yeah.
And trying to get them through that, it was really, I wouldn't say burdensome, but it's cumbersome
Yeah.
in the best
Especially
organizational
with separating
situation.
too, yeah.
So we can say now, we could just call a parent and say, hey, we really suspect that Matt
Yeah.
was, such and such. And we need you to sign for this or.
They can't play.
or
They can't.
So if they're under suspicion, we can just say, you're benched
Correct.
until you take this test.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell them you're clean and take this stuff.
Yeah. Might take 2 weeks to get into the doctor, you never know.
It's kind of similar to the search and seizure on school grounds.
Sure.
Yeah.
Got it. And was that money that we were paying for that stuff or anything like that?
They always did a pro bono.
Okay. So it's not necessarily that, it's just.
No,
Well, that changed with the administration at the hospital too, which changed quite regularly over the course of the last
That is
decade.
true.
Yeah.
Does it say what they test for specifically? I don't know.
It was marijuana,
Marijuana,
opioids.
opioids, performance enhancing drugs, which is, you know. Funny.
Okay,
And then the other highlighted piece that John had in there was cell phones. We talked about that.
yeah,
And then the physicals, so MHSA, John mentioned it, I don't think everybody was in attendance. This kind of came from MHSA because in the more urban areas of Montana, the hospital are getting overwhelmed. So you could go every 2 years, but we can also stick with every year. I think we should keep it as every year.
yeah, I think we're all in agreement to that, right? I mean, we should, I don't think there's any.
I talked to several schools about this at the meetings and they all pretty much agree, but from a liability standpoint.
Yeah.
And really I'm not gonna say the only reason, one of the reasons, as I mentioned before or alluded to, these larger towns, cities within Montana that have multiple high schools like Billings, for example, their clinics are overrun. this time of year.
Well,
That
you
was the
can,
biggest thing.
you, after July 1st, you can get those for the next school year, right?
After May
Or
1st.
May 1st,
Yeah.
right, yeah. So, I mean, look, hopefully
There's
there's not just,
Yep.
Got a plan.
figure that out.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they will.
So you are fine with what this says right now on cell phones?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's gonna kind of reflect the kind of the policy that we decide on
Yeah.
with what the school day is.
Mhm. Well, we're saying in the handbook that when they leave, they can get their phones back.
Yeah.
But
Because they're not gonna come back. to
because
school.
they're not coming back here.
Correct.
And they
As
can
opposed to a
use-
field trip
Yeah,
where
they can
they're
use it.
going, so they can use them. And I think if we were talking about, does it say it here that you could confiscate them if you, coach
If they're being misused.
was misusing them?
Coaches are up, it's totally all.
Coach's
If they
discretion.
want to, the
Coach's
coaches can confiscate them for the entire trip if they want to, that's their.
I heard
Yeah.
that there's issues on the buses with them, taking pictures, just,
Probably on the route buses.
Could be, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, there were, well, I think that was the route buses, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
well,
But.
okay. But
I
we're
mean,
not doing.
yeah, I
anything
mean,
about
how do
that.
you give the kids their phone back and then
Take it back.
give it to Mr. Wayne on the bus, you know?
Yeah, Mr.
I mean, honestly, it just becomes about parents, really, all of this comes about parents saying, we support the school doing this, and we think you're fine
I mean, you
being
can put,
home.
you can put screen
with your-
time on your kid's phone until 4 o'clock.
Right,
Mhm.
So
Or
when they're on the
later.
bus, they're not using it.
yeah,
you know, or whatever.
don't be, we're just leave it at home.
Yeah, be
Here's an
proactive.
amazing.
The other thing, and Coach Shipman can attest to this as well, I think that being on those bus trips a lot in the last few years, the kids that know they need to study and do homework, that's what they do.
Yeah,
And they'll get that stuff done if they know they need to do it.
Mhm.
And there's some that choose not to use that time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be down
That would
to
be
if they follow their coaches, teachers and parents' encouragement to
Yeah.
say, hey. First 2
Right.
hours of this bus trip, you better be doing this.
Yeah.
It's a lower ratio of kids using the bus, using their phones on an athletic trip. It's been my experience. with the
Yeah,
football
maybe more
team.
basics and stuff
Well,
like that,
they're-
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I just think.
I sometimes wish
I
they
ju-
would get on.
No more talking. Please turn your-
Quiet down.
The 6 hour bus.
I think that, I just think we need to be approaching it that this is a positive for them, not something that.
Oh, yeah.
Ways they can get around,
Yeah,
Like,
that's something we
or
can
we're,
just sneak around.
yes, like, you can still go out to your car,
Yeah, that's, yeah.
you know.
Okay, great. Any other activities handbook discussion? Anyone?
I'm just curious, the 175 for sport. Is there a way that kids who can't afford it, do we have it?
Yeah,
I think-
that's it. That's part of the free reduced lunch. On that program, we get
That's-
fees with.
That's the
stuff like
manner
that.
we go about anybody who requests a reduction or
And it'll be-
no payment at all, is we have them do their free and reduced lunch form. Then we follow the federal calculation applied to a different situation. That's the same with IB testing, AP testing,
Okay,
all that stuff.
So
And
it's
then
always-
there's it comes right from FOSSI.
great.
Dustin,
Yes.
I think that the athletic handbook is actually even more generous right now. And that if someone has free and reduced lunch, it's a flat no charge. John, can you?
It says we'll be eligible for free activities fees.
Yeah,
These
free.
were-
There used to be a nomination form.
Just put free or reduced.
Got it, free or reduced.
It says
Yeah.
free reduced here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, great.
Sure.
Okay, anything else? Okay, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass unanimously. Move on to the coach's handbook.
I move that we approve the VSSD coaches handbook as presented.
I second the motion.
Nothing really,
The only change is that I put all the emergency action plans at the end, so the coaches will read that and understand. In case of an emergency, they have the contingencies.
have we not had that in there before?
I gave them a copy last year, but I did not put it in the handbook.
Okay,
So I figured it was better to put it in the handbook so they can sign that they've read and acknowledged the emergency action.
at least they've seen it and looked at it.
And then John and Matt did a significant activities only
Okay,
action plan.
plan.
Yes.
This is a question for Matt, who might know this, Dodd. So I'm on the board of a summer camp, so all this that just happened in Texas, we're really paying
Yeah.
attention to. And I said, do we put all of our emergency action things out there for the public? And they said, our attorneys said, we'd rather have them just ask us. We don't want to put it out there in case we don't do everything according to what we did, that we'd be more liable. I'm just throwing that out. Is that true? Is it better not to publish it?
Well, this will be out there regardless.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and also we have now, I don't know how far along it is, but it'll be launched in the fall. Like if you go to our website, you can tab like board and you find out all the information about the board.
Okay.
We're also gonna have school safety and
So
security.
we'll
for
put
all
it
that stuff's
out
gonna-
there, so we just have to do it, just like it said.
We should.
Yeah,
we should.
yeah, we should. I was surprised that was their insurance or somebody had told us they're
Yeah.
not to, so I was curious. Anyway,
I
okay,
can see that from a camp standpoint for sure.
well, it's still dealing with kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you gonna
but-
do what you said?
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
what
main
we should be
thing.
doing. Okay. Any other questions? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Pass unanimously. Tabling online learning providers till.
Yeah, I'll have them in August. We're really just trying to align when you guys approve it, but OpenAI has already approved, so. Cause
Just wait till it's all done.
it's not an easy process to get them to approve something.
No.
So I'll have it next month, sorry.
Okay, no problem, thank you. Move on to action or discussion action number 8, please.
I move to approve the 2025-2026 school bus routes as presented.
I second the motion.
There's no changes. The only change, no change in mileage. We did add stops at the Riverview Apartments. Because we did have some people ask for that. And it's great. He can get in and out of there all
They
day
were
long.
yeah.
It's easy. I think there might even be, Libby, is he gonna stop twice in there?
Yeah, I think there's 2 stops.
There's 2
One
sheds.
like right when he pulls in and then right at the just a little bit forward and then he goes out.
And those are the ones on the right side as you're going up,
The left,
left.
as you're going up, opposite Ace.
Okay, and the other river is. Okay,
And so they'll be the last ones on
and the first.
and the last ones off because it's
Yeah.
got to get downhill.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't want to turn against that
Yeah.
traffic.
It's gotta be
Okay, that's what I
downhill.
was wondering, yeah. Yeah,
No, the first one's on the last, so, right?
no, last one's on, last one's off.
Yep.
Because that'll be coming, as
It'll be
you're coming
end of
down
route.
towards Conoco, they're the ones on the right.
Okay.
So it's always that, against that. Against
that.
that. So, okay. No new bus driver interest or anything from anyone?
The bonus.
I mean, they were lined up
Good to turn it
today.
down.
All the way to one
I
ninety.
thought I saw someone coming, the door, and I'm like, oh, that wouldn't be a bus.
Oh, and Outlaw did a great job with of a press release about that too.
Yeah, that's just so weird.
Really?
I
Is
mean,
it?
I'd be a bus driver if I was retired.
Mhm.
There you go.
I can't wait, 2 more years, I'm bus, I'm driving bus.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Sign off.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, call for a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimously. For this next one, do we need a motion?
No, we
Yeah.
can just discuss it. So we receive eGrant monies, which is a state program to lessen our costs. And according to the government standards, we need to have filter, we use the SIPA filter in our school district, and so this has to be kind of recorded in the minutes.
We just have to say
That we
it's
said we
happened.
use the
We got
SIPA
it,
filter.
we use it, it's in place,
Yeah.
Exactly. Children's Internet Protective Act is part of the federal
Yeah.
funding.
and we're all good,
We're good.
yeah, for the record.
When you said
Really
it,
good.
you stated it,
Yeah.
it's in the minutes.
All good. Great, move on to number 10, please. Anyone can read, you guys.
Okay, yeah, sorry,
Don't be shy.
I'm used to the other side reading.
I move to approve the request for the waiver placement. And I'm trying to find it so I can read it.
Need a second, please.
I second the motion.
So it's in there, the name is redacted because this does go to the public.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, the unredacted documents can be available to you guys if you wanted to see them. We have a policy, and then the other thing with this is we do have policy in place that allows the superintendent to do this.
Right,
If you would like to go that route, that's how we can go in the future. We have about 6 a year.
Yeah.
They're always kind of at this particular point.
this is the type thing that allows you to waive whatever the requirement was,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's not,
That was
we can't
the-
waive below the state standard.
But we're above the space.
Yeah.
By
Yeah, so I can't waive like a state standard, but I can waive.
You can't say
a particular
English.
requirement.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay,
and it's always, once it comes to my desk and then to you guys, it's been thoroughly vetted through the counselor, through the principal, with the parents.
Yeah.
So the parents have to sign on it too.
Yeah, it's been pretty smooth.
does this, so this is for graduation or for just for not taking that course?
No, so if you'll look,
I can't,
replacing, it looks like this.
oh,
Yeah.
It has, so the requirement to waive is,
Love that.
one of our requirements is that the student take IB Lang and Lit. This student wants to replace that with MTDA English.
okay,
So and at the end of the day, like it's really a process that we talk to kids through, because there are certain things that we're like, hey, this is really what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
Generally, it's students who when we make this decision, it's really kind of making a decision to help them graduate from high school.
right.
Do we provide the funding for it though? How does that work?
MTDA,
No,
Like,
No, MTDA is not
not
free anymore.
anymore, okay,
So it's how MTDA works is the parents pay half, or the state pays half, we pay half. Depending on what the situation is for the student, we can kick that back to the parents and we'll absorb that cost. It's nominal. I think 115 per student per class.
something like that.
Yes, that's very, very small fee.
And then again, so there's this, we did a significant fundraise over the last 7 years in FOBSI, the balance is around 250K for these kinds of things.
So we can absorb that, no problem.
But they don't have to, does every person have to meet that that free and reduced lunch to get anything like that? Okay, good. Cause that's a very low bar.
Well, and we have a lot of MTDA participation.
Yes, okay, thank you. Well, I don't have any problem with it. This MTDA course is so good.
Any other questions? Call for a vote, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Sports schedules? Anything you want to talk about there necessarily, or?
No,
You can see how much gas we burn.
Yeah, exactly. They should be pretty much finalized. There's always some unforeseen contingency that comes along.
And everything for fall is set and.
Yeah, everything for fall, I'm hoping is set, and I think just, yeah.
Correct.
The only thing, I talked to the Sheridan athletic director the other day. He wants to move the middle school game against them here to Wednesday rather than Friday, so we would just play varsity on Friday. Other than Wednesday, just because they've got a youth hunt club that's meeting that weekend in Sheridan, so. I don't see any problem with changing that, for our middle school team. It doesn't change anything for our high school team,
Right,
so.
yeah, no, that's great, and it's.
That's the only thing that hasn't been confirmed yet, yeah.
Great. Okay, we'll move on to number 12, please.
I'll move to approve all policies listed for first and only reading.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
There's a lot.
There was one
They were interesting.
One
policies.
kind of change that Libby and I discussed after our policy meeting, Matt and Barbara. 5120 P1, which is that federal background status. And I made the mistake when we were talking about it. Our local agency security officer really is me. And in the state's eyes to access those fingerprints. So instead of having Matt Doherty in there, put me in there.
Okay.
And then we had talked about ink fingerprints versus the electronic
Right.
fingerprints. If we can just kind of for now, keep it as both until we can get the machine that
To do that.
takes those fingerprints and learn a little more about how it works. Because we'll start fingerprinting here as we start hiring people.
Yeah.
If we could leave that as both and then maybe make a recommendation in October or November. And if that's
Which
fair.
year one we prefer.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then I think everything else should remain the same in 5120 P. Is that correct, Libby? Were those the two things you wanted me to address?
Yes, yep, those two just, saw them as just being kind of issues that, might come up, so it was good to keep both available as far as the means of obtaining the prints, at least for now. And then just getting that lasso done as one of us because we received the information.
So once these kind of all go into place now, and I don't know if everybody realizes this, we'll go through Libby and I and upload them to the database. All of our policies are available, a direct link right on our website, managed by NTSBA, if you haven't had the chance to read. All thousands of them.
I think I still have packets
And
of.
we did make changes in what was recommended.
Yeah, and
And
everything
just
should be reflected in what went out, all of our changes.
Just letting everybody know what we did.
Yeah. Great. Any other questions on those? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Pass unanimously. All right, next meeting is scheduled for, oh, sorry, consensus. I have nothing on my consent agenda.
I think warrants and liabilities.
Take a motion to approve that, please.
I second the motion.
No, you have to make the motion.
I make the motion to approve the warrants and liabilities.
Consent agenda.
Second the motion.
Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass unanimously.
Okay, so August 12th is the annual budget meeting. I think we've kind of talked about this before. We may have a need for a special meeting between now and then, possibly to clean up any personnel last minute hires. And then there's a housing option that I'm getting close. I don't know. The people who want to rent it, it's this cabin right across from the Ouzel Falls parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there's an airstrip over there, right?
Potential.
Yeah.
But they're very friendly people and they will rent it to us for $1,000 a month.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
That expense will go directly to the employee. They're trying to decide whether they would prefer to rent to the school or to the actual employee.
Directly.
And we have somebody for it. So that,
Is it
If that
a
comes
nice
up.
livable space?
It is.
Yeah.
My
Is it
friend
that red
lives there.
cabin
My
over
friend
there?
lives there,
Paul
yeah.
Wilson's old place, right?
yeah.
No, it
Not that one.
I thought about the gate for Moonlight. It was like the original house.
I don't know, it's sweet.
The original
Yeah.
house for.
Well, like the original.
So is that bigger one on the?
Security kind of be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Moved, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
just,
loud.
I thought it was the airstrip property with those ramshackle cabins on
It's
it.
all the same property.
That is, okay.
But it's the one close, it's been totally remodeled.
Yeah,
It's
it's like Bob Olson lived there, right?
Well,
It's
I
better.
think so, yes.
Okay.
So
That's good.
Now,
Yeah,
the
that's
bird-
You're so lucky.
I'll set it up at least 4 to 5 days in advance if we have to have a special
Okay.
meeting.
That's-
And that would just be for that?
And possibly any hires
Well, yeah, perfect.
as we're trucking through the summer.
How many bedrooms?
Two.
Oh,
Well, one and kind of one.
sweet deal.
Great. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Have any other